John has roots in both Essex and Middlesex counties. His family has owned a house in Rockport since 1944. I'm very jealous. And originally hails from Wilmington. John spent approximately 10 years as a paralegal and a contractor consultant working with large corporate law firms, delivering legal products, and in the nonprofit world. He has also spent time in construction, in carpentry, in auto repair, and is a very well-rounded guy. Jack of all trades, right. John, as an undergraduate, worked as an intern in the Comparative Evolutionary Neuroanatomy Laboratory in the Biological Wing, Department of Anthropology at Harvard University. And I did that with no mistakes, as far as I know. A graduate of Harvard, he is currently working on a graduate school credential in environmental policy at UMass Dartmouth Graduate School of Education, Public Policy, and Civic Engagement in the Department of Public Policy. A round of applause for John Devine, please.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for the invitation. I want to thank GOL Loud and Boston Spirit for sponsoring this event here at the Hawthorne Hotel. It's important, for us all to come here and speak about these issues. There's a lot of very important work left to accomplish, and I'm very pleased and proud to be here with you tonight to address these issues and add my voice to the debate here in this race for the House of Representatives in District 6. Basic civil rights has come a long way in our country over the last 50 years. I'll bet we still have a long way to go. My brother, Paul James Devine, he studied oppressed third world cultures, women's studies and gay rights at Vassar College. And he and I have had a lot of different discussions about these kinds of issues over the years. His passion as a member of the LGBTQ community has influenced my viewpoint on these issues quite a bit. And he once said to me, when we were back in college, he said, think about it. In America, there's no person more subject to discrimination than an African-American lesbian woman. And he felt really strongly that there need to be protections for equal rights, and argued really strongly about that with me. Not that I ever disagree with him, but it's something that he feels strongly about. And it helps motivate me in representing the voice of the LGBT community as having a brother. Feel so strongly about these issues. And not everybody has the right to marry who they love here in the United States. And I believe they should. Not in every state is it recognized. And it should be. There should be no second-class citizens here in the United States.
Thank you. And again, since you just mentioned it, I will ask you one of the same questions that I asked Mr. Tisset.
Mm-hmm.
As a U.S. Congressman, what measures would you take to have marriages, civil unions, more recognizable outside of Massachusetts, and specifically with regard to the rights to legally married couples, Social Security, power return, health care, etc.?
Well, I agree with Mr. Tisset. DOMA needs to be repealed. There's no room for anything like that here in this country. It's a discriminatory law at base. It never should have been passed. It's ridiculous. I think that a Marriage Fairness Act needs to be crafted and voted upon and passed. That legislation should provide for reciprocity between the states of marriages and civil unions for all people in all the states of the United States of America. Right now, worldwide, freedom to marry is recognized in several countries. It's not such a radical idea. It's not a new idea. In Canada, in Iceland, in Belgium, in Spain, South Africa, Norway, Sweden, Portugal, Argentina, Mexico, and I don't really mean to refer to low-hanging fruit, but the Netherlands. Same-sex couples should enjoy the same rights and responsibilities with their partners as anyone else under the law, as they do in these countries, here in this country. In terms of the right to marry, I mean, if a partner's loved one is in the hospital, you should have no problem with the hospital personnel to go visit that loved one. It should be recognized, and whether it's insurance or work-related benefits, inheritances, and even the right to divorce. I mean, it's not always a rose garden. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
But, yeah.
All of my marriage. Somebody please tell my wife.
Well, I would sponsor and work to push through legislation. Would provide equal right to marry in every state in the nation. That's what it comes down to.
In your work, in your research, with regard to the LGBT community, are there specific topics or issues that you feel need to be brought to the limelight more, need more education for people?
Yeah, I mean, for people in general, I think Massachusetts it's a different group of voters and a different group of citizens than a lot of other places. But there needs to be some work in that regard. There's some resistance with the Republican Party. There's some resistance in the middle of the country that really should not be there. It's all about civil rights, whether it goes back to civil rights arguments made in the time of the Civil War in the 1860s, or civil rights arguments made here in this country in the 1960s. I read an article recently where Bill Russell stood up and said that he thought that a lot of members of the LGBT community were fighting the same battles in athletics that black athletes were fighting back in his day when he was playing center for the Celtics. Now, I spent part of my time growing up in San Francisco, California, which is a very unique environment. I went to high school there at the School of the Arts, went to junior college there. And it's a 90% Democrat, and of course it has a strong LGBT community. So I have a different experience than most people. I wasn't confronted with the same kind of ignorance that some people might find in a place like Texas or Louisiana. But you still see some bad attitudes, even in the city of San Francisco.
And you've got about 4 minutes left, so we'll be fine on time.
Okay.
There are going to be some questions that I asked tonight that you'll see will be repeated because there are important topics, so whether it's merit, equality, jobs, et cetera. I want to give each candidate a chance to really be able to address these major topics as well. So again, another question that I asked Mr. to say. With regard to the job market and equality of the job market, should you get elected, what would your plans be to ensure equality in the job market? How would you go about implementing them and measuring their success?
Well, now, job equality in the marketplace can only be ensured through crafting and passing laws that prevent discrimination. Just this past week, I read in the Huffington Post that President Obama is working on crafting an executive order preventing discrimination against those of the LGBTQ community among federal contractors. Now, that's a big step. It's an important piece of work, crafting an executive order, but that only would apply to federal contractors. Protections should go beyond those confines of federal contractors. Protections against discrimination based on orientation should be extended to the American job market as a whole through legislation. Well-qualified people should never be denied employment based on their race, religion, ethnicity, nor their orientation. It doesn't make sense. As your representative, I will work with the president and the other members of Congress on the other side of the aisle to author, pass legislation, and sponsor legislation that will provide for protections against discrimination in the LGBT community and hiring practices in the workplace before my term is up, the first term. The measure of success of such legislation shall be based on hiring statistics as tracked by the Department of Labor and survey an academic study by public and private groups. We'll see if we need to create some more strong measures if the initial effort is not as effective as it should be. Well, my name is John Patrick Devine, and I'm here to ask you for your vote. I want to represent you in your district. It's time for a new direction in the House. I want to be your voice in the House. I'm the only candidate with roots both in Essex County and in Middlesex County, and I have a lot of fresh ideas. I want to bring your concerns at the polls down to D.C. and lead this country in a different direction. My name is John Devine, and I'm here to ask you for your vote. Thank you.